You've worked hard your whole life. You've been careful. But 6 things you do every single day, things that seem normal, even comforting, are quietly stealing your future. And by the time you see it, it may already be too late. There's something about 62 that most people don't talk about. It's not like turning 50, where you throw a party and joke about being over the hill. It's not like 65, where Medicare kicks in and everything shifts overnight. 62 is quieter, subtler, but it's just as important, maybe more, because 62 is the age when your choices start locking in. It's the age when Social Security becomes available, when your body stops bouncing back the way it used to, when the gap between what you can fix and what you'll have to live with starts closing fast. Most of us cross that line without realizing it. We wake up on our 62nd birthday, blow out a candle or two, maybe get a card from the kids, and then we go back to living the same way we always have. Same habits, same routines, same assumptions about tomorrow. But something has shifted. The rules have changed, and the mistakes we've been making, small ones, daily ones, suddenly carry more weight. Because now there's less time to recover, less room for error, and less forgiveness from our bodies, our finances, and the systems we depend on. This isn't about fear. It's about awareness. It's about understanding that the decisions you make right now, in your early 60s, will shape the next 20 or 30 years of your life. And some of those decisions, the ones that feel easiest, most natural, most comforting, are the very ones that will hurt you the most. You don't see it at first. That's the problem. The consequences don't show up right away. They show up 5 years later, 10 years later, when it's harder to course correct, when your options have narrowed, when you look back and realize you crossed a line you didn't even know was there. So let's talk about what's really at stake. Let's talk about the 6 daily mistakes that seem harmless now, but will cost you later. And let's talk about why stopping them, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it hurts, is the most important thing you can do for yourself before you turn 62. The first mistake is the one almost everyone makes. It's so common, so widely accepted, that it doesn't even feel like a mistake. It feels like a choice, a reasonable one, maybe even a smart one. You turn 62. You're tired. Maybe you've been working for 40 years. Maybe your body aches in ways it didn't 10 years ago. Maybe your job isn't what it used to be. Less secure, more demanding, harder to keep up with. And then you get a letter, or you go online, and you see it. You're eligible for Social Security. You can start collecting right now. It feels like a gift, like relief. After all those years of paying in, you can finally take something out. And the money isn't bad. It's not everything you'll get if you wait, but it's something. And something now feels better than more later, especially when later feels uncertain. So you file, you start collecting, and every month that check comes in. It helps. It takes the pressure off. You feel like you made the right call. But here's what they don't tell you in bold letters. Here's what gets buried in the fine print, in the percentages, in the language most people don't read or don't fully understand. When you claim Social Security at 62, you're not just claiming it early. You're locking in a reduced benefit for the rest of your life. Permanently. It's not a temporary reduction. It's not something that evens out later. You will receive less money every single month for as long as you live. And depending on how long you live, that decision could cost you tens of thousands of dollars, maybe more. If your full retirement age is 67, and for most people in this generation, it is, claiming at 62 means you're taking a 30% cut, 30% gone forever. And it's not just about the math. It's about what that money could have meant, the trips you won't take, the help you won't be able to give your grandkids, the medical expenses that will stretch you thinner than they should, the independence you'll lose because you can't quite make ends meet. It's about the slow erosion of dignity that comes from realizing, 5 or 10 years down the road, that you made a choice in a moment of exhaustion that you can't undo. Now, some people need that money at 62. That's real. If you're facing a health crisis, if you've lost your job and can't find another, if waiting simply isn't an option, then you do what you have to do. No judgment there. Survival comes first. But for many people, the decision to claim early isn't about survival. It's about impatience. It's about fear. It's about not trusting that you'll live long enough to make waiting worth it, or not wanting to keep working, or not understanding the long-term cost. And that's the mistake, because once you claim, it's done. You can't go back. You can't change your mind when you're 70 and realize you're going to live longer than you thought. You can't recalculate when inflation eats into your fixed income, and you wish you had more cushion. The decision you make at 62 will follow you for the rest of your life. And if you make it for the wrong reasons, it will haunt you. The second mistake is quieter. It doesn't come with paperwork or deadlines. It doesn't announce itself. It just happens, slowly, day by day, until one morning you realize something has changed, and by then it's often too late to change it back. You wake up and your knee hurts. Not badly, just a little stiff. You tell yourself it's the weather, or you slept wrong, or you're just getting older, so you ignore it. A few weeks later, you're more tired than usual. You used to be able to work in the garden all afternoon. Now you need a nap halfway through. You tell yourself you overdid it, that you'll feel better tomorrow. Your back aches. Your shoulders are tight. You have trouble reading the small print. You forget where you put your keys. You get winded going up the stairs, and every time you explain it away. You normalize it. You tell yourself, this is just what happens. This is just what 62 looks like. But here's the truth. Your body is talking to you. It's giving you signals, early warnings, small chances to pay attention before something small becomes something serious. And when you ignore those signals, when you dismiss pain as inevitable, fatigue as normal, change as unavoidable, you miss the window where you could have done something about it. You miss the chance to catch high blood pressure before it becomes a stroke, to address joint pain before it becomes immobility, to treat early memory issues before they become something you can't come back from. This isn't about being paranoid. It's not about running to the doctor every time you feel a twinge. It's about being honest with yourself. It's about recognizing the difference between normal aging and warning signs. And it's about understanding that once you cross 62, the stakes are higher, because your body doesn't recover the way it used to. A fall at 62 can mean months of rehab. A missed diagnosis can mean years of decline. And the independence you take for granted now, your ability to drive, to live alone, to take care of yourself, can disappear faster than you think. So, when your body speaks, listen. Don't brush it off. Don't wait until it's screaming, because by then, the damage is often done, and the life you could have protected is already slipping away. The third mistake is the hardest one to name, because it's not about what you do. It's about what you don't say. You're sitting at the kitchen table and your daughter asks how you're doing. You smile. You say you're fine. even though you're not sure how you're going to pay for the prescriptions this month, even though you haven't told anyone that you've been feeling dizzy lately, even though you're worried about money, about health, about what happens next, and you don't know who to talk to or how to start. So, you stay silent. You keep it in because you don't want to be a burden, because you don't want your kids to worry, because you were raised to handle things on your own, and asking for help feels like admitting defeat. But silence doesn't protect anyone. It just delays the crisis. When you don't talk to your family about your finances, they can't help you plan. When you don't tell your doctor about symptoms, they can't catch problems early. When you don't discuss your wishes for the future, your health care, your living situation, your end-of-life preferences, you leave the people who love you to guess. And when the time comes, they'll have to make those decisions in a panic, under pressure, without knowing what you would have wanted. That's not fair to them, and it's not fair to you, because the conversations you avoid now are the ones that will have to happen later, under worse circumstances, with fewer options, and much more pain. This is the age to speak up, to be honest, to sit down with the people who matter and say, here's where I am, here's what I'm worried about, here's what I need. It's not easy, it's not comfortable, but it's necessary. And the longer you wait, the harder it gets. The fourth mistake is about assumption. It's about living like tomorrow will look exactly like today. You've always been strong. You've always been capable. You've always been able to do things yourself. Lift the groceries, climb the ladder, mow the lawn, drive across town without thinking twice. So you keep doing them. You don't ask for help. You don't make changes. You don't plan ahead. Because planning ahead feels like giving up, like admitting you're not who you used to be. But the truth is, strength fades, balance falters, reaction time slows, and the things that are easy now won't be easy in 5 years. The stairs that are fine today might be dangerous at 70. The house that feels manageable now might feel isolating later. The car you love might become a risk. And if you don't plan for that, if you don't make adjustments now, while you still can, you'll be forced to make them later, under crisis, when you've already fallen, when you've already gotten lost, when independence isn't a choice anymore, it's something that's been taken from you. Planning ahead isn't surrender, it's control. It's making sure that when things change, you're still the one deciding what happens next. The fifth and sixth mistakes belong together because they feed each other, and together they're the most dangerous of all. You stop calling your friends as often. You turn down invitations. You stay home more. At first, it's because you're tired or busy, or you just don't feel like it. But over time, the world gets smaller. The phone rings less. The calendar stays empty. And you tell yourself you're fine, that you like the quiet, that you don't need people the way you used to. At the same time, you stop doing the things that gave your life meaning. Maybe you retired and didn't replace work with anything else. Maybe you lost a spouse and can't imagine starting over. Maybe you just don't see the point anymore. And without people, without purpose, something inside you starts to fade. The research is clear. Loneliness kills. Not slowly, not metaphorically. It increases your risk of heart disease, dementia, depression, and early death. It weakens your immune system. It accelerates aging, and losing purpose does the same. When you stop mattering to yourself, to others, you stop fighting, you stop caring, and your body follows. This is the hardest truth of all. The mistakes that hurt the most aren't the ones you make with your money or your health. They're the ones you make with your heart. Because you can recover from a lot of things, but it's much harder to recover from giving up. So stay connected. Even when it's hard, especially when it's hard, reach out, show up, find something that matters to you, and hold on to it. Because isolation and emptiness don't just steal your future, they steal your present. And that's the one thing you can't get back. Turning 62 doesn't mean your life is over. It means your choices matter more. The mistakes you make now, claiming too early, ignoring your body, staying silent, assuming nothing will change, pulling away, losing purpose, they all feel small in the moment, but they add up. And by the time you see the cost, it's often too late. So stop them now, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it hurts, because the life you protect today is the life you'll live tomorrow, and you deserve to live it well.